Let's skip the long, drawn-out intro, shall we? The world of Silent Hill has been introduced to a new generation of gamers with the Dead by Daylight DLC. These gamers probably don't understand the meaning behind all of the characters, locations, and objects in the DLC, and I'm here to explain them for you. While I think you will get a more well-rounded understanding of Silent Hill if you listen to the whole video, I understand that a lot of you would rather not listen to the whole video and would rather just skip to certain parts that interest you. In order to accommodate you, I've provided time codes in the description box below. Before I begin, I want to let you know that I will only be providing the basic facts about the characters, locations, and items in the DLC. However, I know there are many of you that would like to learn more. Therefore, as this video progresses, I will be providing links to other videos that provide more in-depth analysis as we address each individual character, location, and item. So let us begin this video just as the story of Silent Hill began. It all starts with the character of Alessa Gillespie. Alessa grew up in the town of Silent Hill. During her childhood, she was viciously bullied by everybody she came into contact with. Her primary torturers were her mother, Dahlia Gillespie, and her schoolmates. There were two main reasons for her bullying. On the one hand, Alessa's mother, Dahlia, was a priestess in a cult known as the Order. Alessa was not originally inclined to believe in the god of the Order, which led to the beginnings of abuse from her mother. As for the abuse she suffered from her classmates, they referred to her constantly as a witch. This is because Alessa often displayed supernatural abilities. Now, when Dahlia became aware of Alessa's supernatural abilities, she concocted a plan to use her daughter in one of the Order's rituals. This plan involved performing a ritual on Alessa so she would become a surrogate mother for the Order's god. For anybody who has seen Rosemary's Baby, it's a lot like that, except, this ritual involved a lot more fire and a lot less demon sex, because, Alessa was only a kid at the time. For many reasons that are too complicated to get into here, the ritual didn't succeed. Alessa knew that if she birthed the Order's god, the world would end as a result. Thus, Alessa split off a part of her soul before the ritual could be completed. This part of her soul was, more or less, the good part, and the dark part remained with Alessa. The good part fled the town of Silent Hill and ended up on the side of a road outside the town. This good part took the form of a baby. This baby was found by a character named Harry Mason, who named the baby Cheryl Mason. And of course, Cheryl Mason is the blonde-haired character you can play as in Dead by Daylight. Now, in regards to Cheryl Mason, before she grew up into the blonde-haired teenager we see in Dead by Daylight, she was a little black-haired girl in Silent Hill 1. At the beginning of Silent Hill 1, Harry Mason and Cheryl Mason are driving in a car together and pass by the town of Silent Hill. The aforementioned Alessa Gillespie could sense them as they drew closer to the town. She knew that her mother was trying to lure Cheryl, the good half of Alessa's soul, back to the town so that she could reunite with Alessa, the dark half. Upon doing this, the ritual could be completed. The Order's god could be reborn, and the world would end. Alessa hoped that she could reunite with Cheryl for a different reason. As long as she could reunite with Cheryl without her mother present, Alessa could kill herself and thus remove any chance that the Order's god could be born. This is why we see Alessa step out onto the road during Silent Hill 1's opening cinematic. She is trying to reunite with Cheryl so she could die. And so, the events of Silent Hill 1 take place. We will discuss many of the locations and objects we come across in Silent Hill momentarily. For now, let us stick with the characters. One of the characters we come across is named Lisa Garland. This is the nurse that you can play as in Dead by Daylight. Lisa was ordered by the Order to take care of the severely immolated Alessa. Lisa kept Alessa alive in an agonizing state for many years in the hopes that she could reunite with Cheryl and complete the ritual, which would birth the Order's god. Lisa was forced to do this because the Order was blackmailing her. See, Lisa was addicted to an illegal narcotic known as PTV, and because she didn't want to be fired or legally punished, she decided decided to take care of Alessa. Unfortunately for Lisa, she was never able to escape Silent Hill's otherworld. At the end of Silent Hill 1, Alessa did reunite with Cheryl, but unfortunately, Dahlia was present. She completed the ritual and birthed the Order's god. Thankfully, Cheryl's father, Harry, was able to defeat the god by pumping it full of lead, because apparently that's how you defeat God. Who knew? When the god dies, the merged form of Cheryl and Alessa, known as the Incubator, offers a baby to Harry. This baby would grow up to be the blonde-haired Cheryl we see in Dead by Daylight. So in summary, Alessa's light half grew up to become Cheryl Mason, until Cheryl merged with Alessa and then became a baby again. Except unlike the first baby, which was just the light half, the second baby was both the light half and the dark half. So in other words, this second baby is both Cheryl Mason and Alessa Gillespie at the same time. In Silent Hill 3, the baby that Harry was given at the end of Silent Hill 1 is raised as Cheryl Mason. However, to escape persecution from the Order, Harry forced Cheryl to change her first name to Heather Mason, and so you play most of Silent Hill 3 as Heather until you defeat the Order and change your name back to Cheryl. Now, as for Pyramid Head, there are a lot of theories about who he is and very few concrete facts. What we do know is that Pyramid Head, like all monsters in Silent Hill, was a physical manifestation of one's unconscious mind. In Pyramid Head's case, he was the unconscious creation of James Sunderland from Silent Hill 2. Now, if you want to know what Pyramid Head's purpose or meaning might be, I would like to direct you to my video titled Who Pyramid Head Is. 98% of the people that watched that video liked my explanation, so you might want to check it out. There's a link to it in the description box below. In regards to Robbie the Rabbit, there doesn't seem to be any underlying meaning to his existence in Silent Hill, other than the fact that he's the mascot of Silent Hill's Lakeside amusement park, and he looks freaky with blood on his face. Even though he is sentient and moves around in Dead by Daylight, he doesn't actually ever move around in Silent Hill 3 or 4. Yeah, even though the Silent Hill series is drenched in symbolism and meaning, Robbie seems to be one of the few characters that is just there because he looks cool. Now that we have addressed the characters, let us move on to the locations and items. The map we are given in the Silent Hill DLC is Midwich Elementary School. This is the place that Alessa went to school, where she was mercilessly bullied. The desk in the corner of one of the classrooms was Alessa's desk. The writings on the desk were made by the other students, featuring statements like drop dead, go home, and thief. The piano with the blood on it is a reference to a puzzle from Silent Hill 1. By playing the correct notes, a silver medallion would fall off the wall. This, along with a golden medallion, would be used to open the clock tower. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we move on from the piano, I want to let you know that the sheet music on the piano and strewn throughout the level actually has a deeper meaning. If you want to know what the notes on the sheet mean, please watch my video titled Dead by Daylight Silent Hill Sheet Music Easter Egg. Once again, I will link that video in the description box below. Now, in regards to the box frames with the twitching bodies in them, this one is a bit tricky. There is an underlying meaning to them, but it has never been proven. I'll just provide you with the facts for now. One thing we know for sure is that the art style of Silent Hill was heavily influenced by an artist named Francis Bacon. Many of his paintings feature people inside boxes, many of whom seem to be in some form of agony. The most famous use of Francis Bacon's boxes in Silent Hill probably has to be this painting from Silent Hill 2. The painting is called Misty Day, Remains of the Judgment. Behind Pyramid Head, we see a whole bunch of bodies dangling from some intangible ceiling, much like the ones we see dangling from the sky in the Dead by Daylight map. I can only assume that because Pyramid Head is an executioner and the painting is titled Remains of the Judgment, that these bodies are the remains of people who have been judged. Thus, in the world of Silent Hill, their hellish prison, where they shall spend all of eternity, is confinement to a box. It would sort of be like spending eternity in the coffin you were buried in after you died. Your body would be immobile, but your spirit would remain. This state of affairs would be so torturous to your spirit that it desperately tries to leave the body, but the most it can manage to do is make the body twitch. But that's just my interpretation, I could be wrong. Only a few things left now. Let us talk about that big red seal in the middle of the map. This is the seal of Metatron. Though it is originally mistaken to be the mark of Samael in the first game, it is in fact the seal of Metatron. In Silent Hill 1, Alessa placed this seal not only in the school but also in Alchemilla Hospital, Green Lion Antiques, the Lighthouse, and Lakeside Amusement Park. Apparently, if Alessa was able to place all the seals, something would happen that would prevent Dahlia from birthing the Order's god that would destroy the world. It is not certain what would happen exactly. Some have theorized that the angel, Metatron from Kabbalistic tradition, would deliver Alessa unto death. Others theorize that the town of Silent Hill would be destroyed, but no one knows. Finally, we get to the real cool stuff. As some of you already know, you can open the clock tower in the Dead by Daylight map, and doing so will reveal a pyramid and a red insignia. I'll explain the meaning of those two things in a second, but I first have to detail the relevance of the clock tower in Silent Hill 1. As I said before, if you played the right notes on the piano, a silver medallion would fall off the wall. This medallion is found in the music room. This is important, so keep it in mind. I also briefly mentioned that you can find a gold medallion. This is found in the chemistry room. Both of these medallions are placed into the sides of the clock tower in Silent Hill 1, allowing Harry Mason to enter and progress to the next level. Now, in Dead by Daylight, if you want the clock tower to open, you don't use medallions, even though those slots can be seen on either side of the tower in DBD. Rather, you have to activate two generators in two specific rooms, the music room and the chemistry room. Now, as for Silent Hill 1, there is a much deeper meaning behind the use of gold and silver in this puzzle. The use of gold and silver and their relation to the masculine and the feminine principles have their roots in alchemy. If you would like to learn more about that, please refer to a video by a YouTube user named Reinstall Paul titled Silent Hill Secrets and Symbolism. I will link to the part in his video where he talks about the medallions and you know where. Finally, let us discuss the two things we see inside the clock tower. Let's start with the pyramid. This thing is known as Flauros, and it shows up in both Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill Origins. Flauros has a long history. The first recorded use of Flauros was in 115 BC by a Chinese poet named Chang Qian, who claimed he could trap demons inside Flauros. Its second recorded use was roughly 2,000 years later in 1796 AD by a Lutheran monk named M.G. Lewis. According to him, Flauros could amplify and control thought. In the Silent Hill games, Flauros is used to control Alessa. In Silent Hill 1, Flauros strikes Alessa down and weakens her, which allows Dahlia to kidnap her and use her for the ritual. It is also used to strengthen Alessa when the time came to birth the Order's deity. And then there's the Halo of the Sun. This is the Order's main insignia. It shows up in most of the Silent Hill games, particularly Silent Hill 1, 3, and 4, although it shows up in the other games as well. There are many symbols on the insignia, some of which are decipherable, and many of which are still speculated over to this day. I'll tell you what some of them mean. The three rings in the middle of the insignia supposedly represent past, present, and future. The lettering around the circumference are apparently from an old Hungarian alphabet known as Ravashirash. I think I pronounced that wrong, but anyways. The words at the bottom left and right translate to Dahlia and Alessa. The one in the top left translates to Incubus, which is another name given to the Order's god. The one in the top right translates to Eliezer, which nobody seems to know anything about. The tiny symbols around the interior ring are apparently alchemical symbols for things like magnesium, beeswax, sulfur, mercury, and more. Now, as for the other symbols, many of them are clear astrological symbols. The one in the bottom is the astrological symbol for Libra, for example. However, many of the other symbols, though speculated to be astrological, are not confirmed. Some are thought to be variations or combinations of astrological symbols. And then there are symbols that nobody knows anything about, leaving only speculation. If you would like to read these speculations and come to your own conclusions, I will leave a link to the Silent Hill wiki in the description box below. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Listen, before you go, make sure to hit that like button if you liked the video. It helps me out a lot. If I missed anything in the Dead by Daylight DLC that you'd like an explanation for, please let me know in the comment section below so I can respond to you. Finally, if you want to see more videos on the Silent Hill universe, please check out my series on Silent Hill mythology, which you should see linked on your screen now. Until next time, just remember, stay yellow.